Spring is here, and let's face it, your team probably has one eye on summer and the other barely on their science class. Staying engaged in these last months of school is tough, especially when the most challenging topics in science are still ahead. But it doesn't have to feel like pulling teeth. Today, I'm sharing practical strategies to reignite your team's curiosity in science, from incorporating choice into hands on experiments to connecting lessons to real world experiences, and even breaking down big goals into manageable steps will transform springtime burnout into a season of learning and exploration. Let's dive in. Welcome to Teaching High School Science. I'm your host, Doc, a former biochemist turned high school science teacher and private tutor. Whether you're homeschooling your teen through high school science or teaching online, join me as I share tips and strategies I've learned over the years for at-home and online labs and activities, breaking down complex concepts and structuring learning in a way that makes sense. Now, let's dive into today's topics. Springtime brings distractions such as warmer weather, longer days, and the promise of summer fun. For many teens, staying focused on science feels like an uphill battle, especially when the material gets more complex. But the good news, you can use this season as an opportunity to get creative and re-engage your team by incorporating choice, real-world connections, and manageable goals. One way to re-engage your team is through hands-on learning, and you can take this a step further by incorporating choice. These are various activities tailored to your team's interests that all teach the same concept. This allows your team to feel more ownership over their learning while enforcing key scientific concepts. So let's talk about how choice works in chemistry, physics, and biology. An example of chemistry are for students with a theater interest. An example activity would be exploring stoichiometry by making fake snow. And you can change this activity by having them make different types of props. But each activity will require them to complete dimensional analysis for ingredients to create whatever it is that they are creating. And once they've got it, challenge them to put on a skit or play that explains another topic from that list, but from a different aspect, such as chemical reactions. Now, an example in physics would be for those that have maybe gaming interests. The activity would require them to build a prototype of a robot or a character in their favorite video game, and then calculate realistic force scenarios. So they're going to have to get a little bit creative, create a scenario, and then use concepts like torque or work to determine how much force the robot or character would need to move or complete a task. Now, in biology, I'm going to pick the interest of anime. The activity for anime could be to create a new character using genetics. Have your team design a character with unique traits based on either Mendelian or non-Mendelian or a combination of this from genetics. And then you can take it further by having them develop an ecosystem for the character's world by incorporating concepts like food chains and population dynamics. Providing your team with a starting example, but let them customize or change the aspects to better suit their interests, gives them more control and buy-in into the activity. These activities can span multiple topics like the one for biology, where we're talking about genetics and ecosystem and population dynamics. And they can also introduce new material while reviewing the previous concepts. And by incorporating choice, we're making science more personal and engaging. It helps them to connect the material of their passions and their interests while keeping them curious and motivated. Moving on to strategy 2, we're going to make real-world connections that help teens to see the relevance of science in their lives. We're taking it to planned activities around family trips and outings. For example, amusement parks. Ask them to pick an aspect of the amusement park, such as the rides or maybe the shows, and then design a proposal to make it better. Make sure they incorporate all of the physics or the chemistry or biology that is needed to make the story realistic or the ride fun. Another example could be food science, Where I live, we have something called a Daddle Pepper Festival, and each year is a hydroponic area that shows the science behind this technology. That will be a great way for them to relate the farming technology to the actual products in the plants, because then they go over and taste the different daddle peppers in various dishes. Have them understand the differences in growing crops using this technology versus the traditional way, and then having them explain the chemistry behind making peppers so much fun to eat can really provide real life application to biochemical processes. So, real world connections paired with choice make science feel more relevant and exciting, showing your teens how they can apply the studies to real life and maybe even sparking more interest in STEM related fields. Strategy 3 is to set small, achievable goals with a plan. When the material gets tougher, breaking it down into smaller, more manageable goals can reduce overwhelm and help your teens stay on track. Here is an example. The big goal is to understand the process of photosynthesis. There are so many different aspects of photosynthesis that it can feel overwhelming. Day 1 may be to learn the basic equation of photosynthesis. Day 2 could be studying the light-dependent reactions. Day 3, studying Kelvin cycle. Day 4, reviewing the process and make connections. So you get the idea of what I'm doing here. Day 1, day 2, day 3 don't have to be consecutive days. You can separate these days with different activities, different art projects, or anything to help them enhance that first concept before they move on to the next. Now, a key to this is to set up those checkpoints. Create a checklist of tasks to complete each week or for each topic. An example of what a checklist could consist of may be solving practice problems, completing a mini lab, and then reviewing a key topic. You also want to make sure that you celebrate those wins. It can be from rewarding progress with small incentives, maybe extra free time, or a reward can look like, hey, we really did a great job. Let's go and catch that movie we were wanting to see. The goal is for them to gain confidence and momentum as they tackle the small tasks, see the progress, celebrate the wins, and then become more engaged and motivated. The key takeaway for this episode is that spring doesn't have to mean disengagement or burnout. By incorporating choice into hands-on activities, connecting lessons to real-world experiences, or breaking down big goals into manageable steps, you can keep your team motivated and invested in a strong finish for the school year. If you're looking for more resources or more tips, check out my website. Let me know if you have any questions, ideas, or other experiences that you'd like to share. Head on over to my podcast page, which you can access by visiting my website at thesciencementor.com. Then select podcast from the menu and subscribe now to the Teaching High School Science podcast for your regular dose of motivation and just-in-time science ideas. And together, let's make high school science a journey of exploration and achievement. Until next time, remember, curiosity leads to endless possibilities.